Hello there. So we're just a couple minutes early. Again, we don't have a countdown today. So I wanted to come on just a couple minutes early. I'm going to mute us for the next couple minutes, and then we'll be back with you here right at 1 p.m. And we will stitch with Annie. So for right now, I'm going to step off the screen and mute our microphone, and we'll see you in 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for waiting. I'm excited to sew out this block from our older sunflower collection. It's going to be really quick, and Nina will be here shortly. She's taking care of some back-end business here for the live. And so I hope you're all excited to see this. Let's see what some of you are saying. Hi, Donna. Let's see. It is a beautiful day here in Ohio as well. And Lindy says she's excited and eager to watch the sunflower stitch out. She has a pattern, but she hasn't gotten to it yet. So now you'll get kind of a little tutorial on how to do that. So we're excited about that. And I hear Nina coming down the hall, so look out. And here is Nina Gladden.
You're so funny. We're doing double duty here.
That's
on a
right.
couple things.
That's right.
We're trying to make it work. Oh, Joyce, that's awesome. Okay, so you showed them what you're
Showed
doing.
them what I'm gonna do.
All right.
So shall we just get to
Let's
it?
jump at it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Can we show them here
Yeah,
first? I'll show
of
them
course.
the one that I'm going to do. Okay. So this is the whole sunflower table topper, and the block I'm going to stitch out. See if I can.
Oops.
Whoop.
Sorry.
She's messing with me
I was
now.
trying to make it big and it didn't work.
Okay. So that's not going to work. That's clear. I'm just trying to find something to block it with. Okay. So this is the block that I'm stitching out. It's this here has a curved edge to it. So if anyone's concerned about, oh, a round table topper, I'm kind of a little like freaked out and getting it to be cut perfectly. The block is actually shaped like that. So I'm heading to the machine.
Nice.
And we'll get started over here. Okay, so here we are at the machine, and I have done step one. Like if you've watched before, we always like to have our step one all finished and stitched out for you. And our first step is to stitch just an outline of the pattern right onto our battleizer that we have hooped. And since this is a table topper, there's no option to add any wool because you don't want that extra bulk and have a vase or a plant of flowers or something sitting on that. So no wool in this one, just the battleizer. So step 2 says you're going to take your fabric 2, which is basically your background fabric. And we tell you exactly what size to cut the fabric. And I'm stitching the larger one. And then you're just going to place it right over the top of the area where it goes. And there's the instructions give you a diagram. Let me show, hopefully you'll be able to see that. Oh, maybe not. But the diagram shows you exactly where to place your fabric. So that's what I've done. I like to peek underneath it just to make sure I have equal amounts on both sides and on the bottom, and also to make sure I'm sufficiently covered in all these areas. Now, the instructions tell you to stitch this using water-soluble thread. And the previous step was also water-soluble. That helps you, keeps you from having to change the thread multiple times. Now, I'm just going to use a yellow thread. That way we can walk through the process quicker, and hopefully you'll be able to see where the stitching is. So I'm stitching our first step, which is to lay this fabric down. And all I'm doing is, looks like I'm petting my fabric, and I do like my fabric, but I'm also just making sure that it stays nice and flat so we don't end up with a pucker at the end. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is anything on the inside of the block, I'm going to trim it to a scant 1/4 inch. And anything that's on the outside edges of the block, I'm going to leave that fabric there. So I have my little hoop scissors mini, and I am just going to trim this to a scant 1/4 inch. No need to measure, nothing like that. I'm going to pull this out, make it easier for me to get to it. All right, and I'm going to trim a little here at the top as well. And this is our hoop scissors mini. Actually, for this step, when you're cutting a large amount of fabric, we have a hoop scissors, which is a much long, I think it's like a 7-inch blade or something on it. That's great for trimming larger amounts of fabric. So hopefully you can see that. I know we've got the cream color fabric on the white, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. So our next step is we are going to take our the tip of our sunflower. And so we have, it's called fabric 3, and there is a light, medium, and dark yellows that we ask you to pull from your stash or go shopping and find. And so this is, since we're not making an entire quilt, I just pulled whatever yellow I could get out. So I'm going to have my yellow, and I'm going to just lay it right on top of the area where this point is. And again, I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch on the outside edges of the block, but I'm also flipping it up just to look and make sure that I have that point covered sufficiently. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll stitch a tack down to hold that in place. And again, just making sure that the fabric lays nice and flat. It will go around it 2 times, and that's because we're going to trim close to the stitching. And then if for some reason you happen to accidentally cut right into one of those stitches, you have another row of stitching there that's going to hold it in place. All right, so now I am going to grab my hoop scissors mini again, and this time I'm going to trim real close to the stitching. And a lot of times I like to just give a little tug on the fabric, just a little one, just to pull it out. And I like to lay the blades of my scissors flat against the block. And doing those things helps get me nice and close. All right, so you can see we have that all trimmed up. And our next step is the machine will sew the satin stitch to cover the raw edge. And I already have my yellow thread in there, so you'll match your thread to your fabric and then let the machine sew the satin stitches. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them and we'll try and get to them as we're stitching, and maybe even afterwards we'll have a little Q&A. Questions? Okay. Okay, Beth says, if I cannot find a thread to match, do you suggest a clear thread? I would actually, Beth, I would probably more, if you can't find it to match exactly, but you have something that's maybe a little bit darker or lighter, you could go with that too. I would probably do that before I would do the clear thread, especially when doing those satin stitches. That would be my preference. All right, so our next step is we are going to add our fabric, which was basically kind of the border on this. And I am going to, the instructions will tell you to use water-soluble thread. And the reason they tell you to do water-soluble thread for this step is because when you sew the lining on this, you want to make sure that the stitching that's on the outside edge doesn't show. And if you use water-soluble thread and it happens to show, then you just get it wet and it disappears. So I'm going to take, this is my fabric number 1, and I'm going to place it just like we did the other fabrics with a 1/2 inch approximately on both sides. And I'm going to make sure I'm sufficiently covered down here and also at the top, and that all looks good. So I am not following the instructions because we like to speed things along when we do a live, but really, you really should use water-soluble thread. And I think if you, at some point, if you decide to go rogue and try something other than what our instructions say, you may find out that, hey, I understand now why they said that. All right. As you can see, it is going around twice with the stitching. And that means it's a little hint that we're going to get our hoop scissors mini out and trim close to the stitching.
We do have a timely question if
Okay.
you want it.
Okay. You can put it there. Okay, I'm going to stop and see what the next question is. Terry says, do you use heat and bond on the fabric? No, I do not. Believe me, these stitches will hold it in place. So there's really no point in using heat and bond. It would just add to the cost. It would also add to the stiffness. And it's just something that's really not necessary. If you want to do that, you can do that, but I don't really think that that is necessary. All right, so before I do the next step, this is where I'm going to trim right on this curve. So I've got my little hoop scissors mini, and I'm going to trim right up close to that stitching on that curve. All right, and put this back in here. Now it's going to do some stipple quilting in this area. And I have matched my fabric, my thread to my fabric. You can use like a slightly lighter or darker thread if you want to, if you'd prefer it to show up a little bit more. That choice will be yours. some really fast blocks to stitch out. You could do these 16 blocks super fast. Jennifer says she has a design that hasn't made it yet, getting inspired to make it for summer. Oh, yeah. And like Nina said earlier, it's summery, yet it really transitions well into fall. Okay, now that I have my stipple quilting done, now what the design will do is it's going to sew a satin stitch to cover this raw edge. So I'm going to put this back on here, and I have thread again on my needle that matches my fabric. So I'm going to let it sew a satin stitch.
All right, while that's stitching and finishing that up, I thought I'd just come into here quick and let you guys know. Again, we are all here for the Behind the Seams Hoop Connection event. So we're so glad you guys are joining us. And we have a special today. If you go to hoopsisters.com and click on the Behind the Seams collection, you get 10% off the items that are in that collection. So one of the designs we're doing is Sunflower Table Topper today, and that is included in that particular discount. So wanted to let you know that Battleizer is also included. Our scissors, mini and regular, as well as the trimmer by George are all included in that. So, so check that out. Head over to our website. It's today only until midnight tonight. So today only, you get 10% off the items in the Behind the Seams collection. Okay, one of them is also the beautiful quilt behind me. This is called Fleur de Lis, and that is also included in there. I know that's a former embroider block of the month, one of our larger quilts, which has beautiful, amazing quilting. We call those heirloom quilts. So feel free to check that out. Ellen, thank you so much. She says we have the best instructions, and so does Deb. That's so nice of you guys to say. I can't take credit for any of that, so I'll pass that on to those that write those instructions. Oh, Hope said she always learns something new watching the videos. That's awesome, Hope. Thank you. So, and also just to remind everybody today that when you place an order today, you also get this adorable little slice of melon block that comes with your order today. That's a digital download that will go right into your cart when you add items to your cart. So you'll see that in there. So look for that as well. It's super adorable. Carol's watching us on her lunch break. Good. All right. I think Annie's ready to get us back to what she's got going on over there. So let's see what she's got.
I have one final step, and that is a little leaf and vine quilting. And then we're going to take it back over to the cutting table, and I'm going to show you how to trim that curve. That'll be interesting, right? We can't exactly bend the trimmer by George, but I'll show you some tips on how to do that. Don't forget, if you have any questions roaming around in your mind right now, this would be a good time to post that question, and we'll be happy to answer it. I almost wish I would have gone a little lighter with this thread. one more minute in the stitch out, and then we're over to the cutting table. Okay, and here we go. Moving over a little bit.
Okay. So we're gonna move back. Is that better? Oh, gosh, oh, all caps. Sorry, Beth. Okay, is that better? You'll have to let us know. Yep. Okay.
We're back.
All the yeses are
Yay!
wonderful.
We've had some little problems with our streaming service, but it looks
Whew.
like we're back
This
now.
one I think is
So-
operator error.
Well, yeah. Well, it'd be a lot bigger problem if I was the operator. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about the trimmer by George and how to trim this block. So obviously we did the one with the curved edge. These edges are straight. So we'll start with these edges to show you the trimmer by George. I'm going to turn it in this direction. So for those of you who don't know, who have never done a Hoop Sisters design, basically when you sew this block to the block next to it, you want to make sure that you have the bulk removed from the seam. And you are going to actually stitch right on this basting stitch you see here. So there's a couple ways you could do it. You could get a scissors and try and trim really close, in which case we've tried that and we've had issues with slicing right into your fabric. I'm going to go to the green side because that white.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, if you were trying to cut this with the scissors right here, you'd probably likely to cut right into it. And you could try using your rotary cutter and your ruler, and the same thing applies. I think actually your chances of cutting into it that way are probably even greater. And that is why we have what we call the trimmer by George. It is an acrylic ruler, and it has this metal crimped edge here. This metal crimped edge is what you put between your battleizer and your fabric, and you just shimmy that right in there against the basting stitches and lay it down. And then you give it a gentle little tug. Whoops, not too much. You see how that pulled through? You want to make sure you tug, but you also want to make sure that there's no fabric peeking out. And when that happens, you know that you are safe to go ahead and take your rotary cutter and use this metal edge to cut against.
That was a good demonstration. I don't think it was intentional, but it was good to show how you do have to take a second look and just be careful. You just be careful there.
Absolutely.
So that was good.
And I also want to mention that I am using a 60 millimeter rotary cutter. I think most quilters have a 45-degree rotary cutter is typically the standard.
Yeah.
However, with the trimmer by George, because the metal edge does lift that acrylic ruler up a little bit, you need to have a little bit larger rotary cutter. And so make sure that if you're going to get the trimmer by George, you need to also make sure that you have a 60 millimeter rotary cutter. We do not sell those, but your local quilt shop sells the rotary cutters and the blades and probably even the trimmer by George. So,
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna do the other edges. And this one I know it's white on white basically, but here's my fabric. I'm pulling it back. And again, I'm gonna just shimmy the metal edge of the trimmer by George in there nice and tight and then lay it down. And again, a gentle tug and visual to make sure none of the fabric pulled out from under the metal edge. And then you can take your 60 millimeter rotary cutter and just slice that battleizer away right up to that basting stitch. I have one more straight edge, and then we'll get into doing the circular edge. Okay, I'm gonna do it right here, lay it down, and a gentle tug, get nice and close, and then we can use the rotary cutter to cut it away. All right, I have a lot of battleizer here. I'm gonna try and get rid of some of it, and then we'll talk about the trimming on that curve. All right.
Linda, I see your question about how to order the pattern. I will give that information here after Annie's done.
Okay, so here we are. This is our block that we just did. And you can see how we've trimmed nice and close to the basting stitch so that when you sew this block to another block, you don't have the bulk in the seam. But now we have this curved edge to deal with. All right, so I will tell you that I am not a fan of doing a curved binding. And that's why when we did this, I threw it over here, I'm going to grab it, that we decided, I decided
It's your design.
to line it. So basically you're going to put your right sides of your fabric on the back. You'll put right sides together and sew along that curve. But when you do that for lining, you're going to want to trim that battleizer right up to the basting stitch. If you're going to decide that you would prefer to do a binding, that's fine. You can prefer to do that, but you would trim it differently. Okay, so if you're going to do a binding, you're going to take your, and I don't know which side is easier for everyone to see. So here's my curved edge. So you're just going to take your 1/4 inch mark, and this is for binding, and you're going to lay it on that curved edge, and you're going to cut this away. And then you're going to gradually keep working your way around the curve. So now I'm going to do it as though you're lining it, which is what our instructions, I believe, tell you. And again, I'm going to pull this fabric back. I'm going to put the metal edge of the trimmer by George there and lay it down. And again, do a gentle tug to get nice and close. And then I'm going to cut that battleizer away. Now we still have little bits over here, but we almost got it.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. So you're just basically going to continue around that curve and not much left there until you pretty much have all the battleizer gone. So I have a little bit more over here. Again, I'm putting that curved edge up against the basting stitch and a gentle tug, and then trim that little piece away. So let's see how we did. That looks pretty good.
I was going to say, I don't know. I think that made it way easier than people probably thought it was going to be.
It really is really easy. It's just a I can't talk. It's just a manner of going around the edge. And the same here, I'm going to put my 1/4 inch mark on my ruler right on that basting stitch. And I'm just going to start trimming my fabric so that it is 1/4 inch past the basting stitch. And it's going to take a couple slices and a couple turns. And so there you go. That's how you would trim that gentle. It's a gentle curve, so it's very
gentle
easy,
curve.
very easy to do. So there you go.
Well,
I
that
have
was
done my
awesome.
demo. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one question that I wanted to address. Margarita, I would like to apologize. No, I was not able to have what Annie was doing on full screen because I am doing Aubrey's job while she's on vacation. And there are certain
Aw.
things that I just have not mastered yet. So my apologies that I was not able to make that full screen. I tried a couple different things that I thought was going to work and it didn't.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I better not mess with it too much.
Yep.
So
And then sometimes you mess with it and you're like, why did the sound go out?
exactly. That's exactly correct.
So Aubrey will be back next week.
Yes.
We allowed her to have a vacation.
Yes.
But Nina has been wearing multiple hats. She's hostess, she's technical support on live streaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. And then Linda, you specifically asked the pattern that Annie is currently working on. And again, it's called Sunflower Table Topper. And yes, that is available on our website, hoopsisters.com. And then you can click on it says shop collection. Go ahead and click that and then click down to behind the seams. I will also share a link in the live. I did share one earlier, but I'll share one again once the live ends as well. So look for that too. So yes, and behind the seams, which is where the discount is. So if you add something to your cart from behind the seams collection, you'll get 10% off. That's for the rest of today.
Nice.
Until midnight tonight. Okay. And then of course you also get the adorable little block. So couple little options there too. Oh, thank you, Margarita. Yeah, I was able to make it a little bigger. Good. I'm glad that was helpful.
And probably if you're like me, you're sitting at home watching something on your
I know.
iPhone and you're like,
It's super tiny.
It is.
Yeah,
it
I
is
know.
real. Even if you turn it, it's like it's still too small.
I know. I get it.
Yeah.
I wanted to fix it. My heart
Yeah.
wants to. My mind and ability is not
I
there.
think you're doing a great job. You're wearing many hats today.
No, it's fine. All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for joining us here. This is our second live for today. We still have a little bit longer to go. We have an hour and a half still in our event. So get in there. If you haven't joined us, go to the VIP Hoop Sisters Facebook group, click events, go down to behind the seams, get in that group, click discussion. You can see all the posts that we've shared today.
Yeah.
You can comment on some of the fun. We've got some fun things in there.
Yeah.
We've got some behind the seams things in there as well. So you guys can check it out. If you have any questions, reach out and we'll get you taken care of.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you,
and
guys.
We'll see you on Monday to finish up the mystery quilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.